AJ, I've got a serious question for you.
Hit
Serious
me.
question. Like this is there is none more serious.
All
Would
right, I
you
will take this. Oh, okay.
would you still eat pizza
Yes.
if cheese no longer existed?
Um. Yes.
Yeah.
Of course. Yeah. It's called a flatbread. I think. Does a flatbread require cheese? I don't know. All you said, you only had to ask me the first part. Would you still eat pizza? Like 95% chance of that still being an answer. Yes.
It's true.
I'm
I
just
mean, like,
saying.
there's a
You-
there's definitely a ton of shit you could put on there to I don't know, mask the fact that there's no cheese. Pizza would just be
I
way
agree.
less exciting
I
without cheese.
agree. I agree with the importance of the question. I don't agree with the difficulty of the question.
All right, man. We got a power pack show. Let's get this thing started.
Let's go.
This is oh no. Well, this is what happens, man. This is what happens. Sometimes the show works perfectly, and sometimes the show doesn't work perfectly. But we're here, I promise. Even if we're not on the screen. So sorry about that. This is PSVR Gamescast Live. We film live every single Monday, Wednesday, and thank God it's Friday. My name is Brian Paul, and I swear to you, you get to see us in just 1 second. And
Good thing you're
yeah,
listening right now on the podcast available on all of your favorite podcast platforms.
this is what you've been missing out on, video watchers. And there we are. Hey, hey everybody. My name is Brian Paul. It's the channel right here, PSVR without Parole, and this guy over here, my hetero life mate for life, PSVR Underground. It's AJ from the Underground. Make sure you go subscribe to him over there, dude. Holy crap, that Zenith video is taking off over there. Your tips video, right? It's like that shit's paying the bills now.
I wish, man. I'm just super proud of it and super happy about it. And, hopefully it helps a bunch of people out. That's what I care first and foremost about. And, yeah, man, Zenith is kind of a big deal. I don't know if you saw the reports on it, but, yeah, #1 on Steam. And that is VR and non-VR games. It has eclipsed all games as #1 in sales as of like today or 24 hours, something like that. They are the ones that are killing it, my friend.
Absolutely. Looper the Underground Game Cat with the €5 says, Wander is incredible. My only concern is the mandatory head turning. Yeah, I can see that being an issue. I feel like I've just adapted over the years. And so things that just would have normally pissed me off just don't bother me anymore. Plus it's like a slow paced point and click
I think we're
adventure
just
game.
exhausted, man. We're just exhausted from every single game coming out having to correct the control issues or having to try and see if we can get the developers to do it. And I think we're just burnt out on it, man. And to be fair, I do have minor complaints about the controls, but it's so minor to me. And like you said, maybe we're just so used to it. It's not as bad as some other games that I can name like at least 100 other examples of far worse controls. But yeah, this is just one more thing that PSVR 2 is going to help alleviate in the future. There won't be any confusion. There's not going to be a joystick, and people are going to be using like face buttons to move. So it should be yeah.
One less thing to worry about, although I'm sure we'll find all sorts of new ways to piss off the
Oh
consumer
yes, we
next
will.
gen. We also got Ash VR, the groovy game cat with the $5 tip says, I'm only here so my move controllers can charge. More Zenith. Ash, I totally saw Ash today when I was playing, but he was deafened, and so I think he was AFK when I ran up to him. I ran up to him and went this. I was like, hey, how's it going? Blah 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 blah. And then I realized I was like, oh, he can't hear me. I don't think he's here. Dude, that reminds me, my move controllers are dying too. I'm gonna have to run over there and throw them into the charger real quick, because I want to get back into Zenith tonight. Right after the show, actually. Belramio, the Game Cat with the €5 says, if Zenith isn't becoming Game of the Year, it means the PSVR 2 will have incredible launch games. That's a good point. Yeah, if we're not raving about Zenith at the end of the year, that's probably a good thing.
Oh my god, that'd be That's impossible, though. Well, we would be, yeah. It's like you said, it'd be a good thing because holy shit, that's a high bar. We have a high bar to kick off the year. This is much better than last year's January, and that was Hitman 3, and this is twice as good, if you will.
Yeah, I would have to agree with that. AJ, we always like to thank everybody who like everybody who just tipped us just now. We like to thank those guys and gals, lovely supporters of this channel. But we also like to thank our Patreon supporters, people who are scrolling down there at the very bottom of the screen, the illustrious cats giving us the $3 or more every single month. But yeah, you can give as little as $1 a month if you want to help support the channel over on patreon.com/withoutparole But AJ, the people who support us financially are not the only people we want to thank, are they?
No, we would like to thank those who support us in another way. It is Friday, and now it is time to shout out those who changed their name to something Gamecat related, or something Gamecat adjacent, as you at something Gamecat adjacent like to say. And this week, we have 5 new Gamecats to welcome to the Gamecat Dojo. Although I have welcomed about 20 people to the Gamecat Dojo today.
The actual in-game Zenith Dojo, yeah.
The in-game dojo in the Zenith, yeah. First, we've got Serial Killer, the Lost and Wandering Gamecat.
Bing! Hell yeah, man.
Very good timing with that name change.
I 100% agree with that.
We've got Nidhogger, the Austrian Gamecats. Yeah.
Totally ran into Nidhogger in
Austrian.
In
Oh, yeah?
Yep.
Did he sound like Arnold Schwarzenegger?
I don't know. Everybody sounds like... You sound like Arnold Schwarzenegger to me. So, yeah. So, let's go with yes.
We've got... I love this name. Gunshine, a.k.a. Gunny the Game Cat.
Bing!
Now, it says Game Cat, but I think that's just a typo on your end that you sent me.
Yeah. I did not copy and paste the full name. It's there. Yep.
I love the name Gunshine. It's like sunshine with guns. It makes me so happy.
And violent at the same time.
We've also got Marcio, the grumpy old game cat.
I think that describes me to a T. I'm gonna be my change my name.
A lot of us.
Grumpy old game cat. I'm so grumpy all the time.
And finally, last but certainly not least, we've got our dear friend Move Master Mick, the shape-throwing PSVR game cat. Didn't you already do that one? Did you? I think you messed up.
I don't know, man. I literally got the GameCat name changes together like 2 seconds ago.
There's a glitch in the Matrix. Everybody, hold on.
Yeah, guys, remember if you want to support, you want to show your support for the channel, and you don't feel like throwing money our way. We get it, man. It's cool. We understand. But feel free to change your name on YouTube or Google to something the GameCat or something GameCat adjacent, and then we'll give you a shout out on next Friday's show if you put #GameCat somewhere in the comments beneath any of our videos, not in the live chat. But when I was going to search for #GameCat, your name's going to pop up.
All right, Brian. Well, we have a lot of news to go over today, including our little bit more in-depth review discussion for both Wander as well as Zenith, The Last City. And yeah, man, super excited to talk about those. But we have some news to get out of the way first, starting with Beat Saber, La Beat a Sabre, depending on where you're from, tweeted out January 27th, yesterday. They say, sliding in soon, some fun new blocks. New blocks are coming to Beat Saber, Brian. And like, I was thinking to myself, this is either going to sound really exciting or really boring. But it's actually kind of cool, right?
Where did you end up falling on the announcement?
Somewhere in the middle.
Yeah.
Still undecided.
Yeah, this little teaser that they put out, I thought actually was really cool because what they're showing here are like fragments of blocks in almost in an accordion fashion that force you to no longer just hit the block right down the middle, but basically create a path with your saber.
Yeah.
Right. And I feel like that. First of all, this is an idea that should have happened probably like a year or two ago, right? Because as much fun as Beat Saber is and as cool as it is, there's not the framework doesn't give, I think, the mappers a whole lot of room for ingenuity and good and more interesting ideas. So frequently we say, "Oh, how's the mapping in the new tracks? How's the mapping?" And we're like, "Oh," and every so often we go, "I feel like this is something they've never done before, but I can only imagine how hard it is to come up with ideas in Beat Saber for something you've never done before." So giving us new blocks and new paths like this, I think is a pretty cool way to allow that to happen.
Yeah, I think it's pretty cool. It's like you said, I don't think it's the most flashiest update, but these updates usually do help kind of bolster the core gameplay mechanics that are in the game, and this could be used for some cool things. But I think I've always said, like before, like the thing that makes me excited about Beat Saber would be like new music, and music that I tend to listen to, which is like a rare thing. Like Beat Saber has become too popular, too big. They stick to that formula, which works for them, obviously. And I have nothing against the music that they add in the game. It's just not for me. And so, like, I have a hard time getting excited about anything other than potentially a music pack that I'm really interested in. But I don't know. It seems fine enough.
Yeah, one of the things we talked about synth riders is how they're really able to kind of allow you to do some cooler things with your body because of the way they've mapped their levels. And I'm wondering if by giving the mappers a little bit more creativity, a little bit more room to bring new ideas into it, I'm wondering if we're going to find ourselves being like, oh, this is something I've never done. Are they going to be able to create? You see like these big long trails, but are they going to be able to create? I mean, I guess by combining multiple sets of them, you'll be able to kind of create paths through the level for you to have to do these kind of almost synth rider type things, which will be, I think, pretty cool.
Right. If they could like connect a long line of these for like imagine like a really long spiral, that could be something really cool in the game. And I imagine that I would not be surprised if we see something like that. That could be very awesome.
Do you think they'll retroactively put any of this stuff into old songs, or do you think it'll just be new songs moving forward?
Probably some. I imagine they might do some, but it's mostly going to be a new thing moving forward, probably. But they do kind of retroactively go in there and update some. They did that for like the 90 degrees and whatnot. And yeah, I do think I always do talk about the mapping in synth riders, how much I like it, how much I think it's fun. And Beat Saber's always like hit and miss. Usually it's pretty good though. Usually it's really solid. It can be a little hit and miss, but it will be interesting to check this out. I hope there's some new music that accompanies this.
We got Kill Artist 1, the Dreamweaver Gamecat Rare with the $5 tip in the chat. Says, "What's up, guys? What up, Kill Artist 1? Tonight I will finally get into the Gamecat Dojo. Hopefully, fingers crossed, and we'll finally be able to buy Wanderer." AJ, I am still not part of the Gamecat Dojo. Just so everyone out there knows, anybody who is trying to get into it. Currently, AJ is the only person. This is not going to change. I'm sure AJ's high on power.
Yes, you cannot take this power away from me.
But currently, you got to find AJ in the game for him to add you to the guild. And I have not seen AJ in the game because my game didn't start working until like 2 hours ago, and that was after he was already done for the day. So we'll do our best to get that taken care of for everybody as soon as possible. It's awesome. Yeah. So cool to see all the cats in there. Been really cool.
Yeah, I put in a support ticket. If they get my account fixed, then I can jump back in and add a bunch of new cats to the Gamecat Dojo. I got 20 people earlier. We have like 20, maybe more. And there's still some things they're ironing out. So because I want to be able to promote some officers to be able to recruit more people, trusted game cats that I know will get other game cats.
Yeah, no, for sure. And just so everybody knows, we have been trying to stick to Wave Rider East server, Shard. And
yes.
And there's multiple Wave Riders. There's Wave Rider East 2 and 3, I believe. But yeah, we all seem to be on the first one.
I love that name.
Wave Rider?
Yeah.
It seems like late 80s to me. It feels like it belongs in Saved by the Bell or some shit like that.
It just sounds like a 90s video game, Wave Rider.
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, I'm like not. Maybe I'm thinking a little bit of Wave Race, but it sounds cooler than Wave Race.
Okay. Yeah, I guess so. Yeah. Nidogger, the Australian Game Cats with the €2 says, Get to the chopper. That's the best Arnold I got. I'm sorry.
It's great. It was like spot on. I thought I was up here with Arnold for a second.
Excellent. AJ, a new game has been announced for PSVR. And not only announced, but is coming out tonight. Tonight at midnight. When's the last time?
God.
When's the last time we got like a Friday midnight release game? Like this doesn't happen very often, does it?
No, it doesn't.
I'm sorry, AJ. This has what?
Dargans, Brian. Dargans. Yes. Tonight at midnight we ride.
Dude, there's a counter. There's a counter on the PlayStation Store counting down to Dragonrider VR. The counter on the store. Dude, like games like Wanderer came out yesterday and like disappeared from the store. Never mind a countdown to release. You couldn't pre-order it. Anything. Same with Zenith. But I mean, no offense to the Dragonrider team. I'm sure they're very, very nice people and that they put a lot of work into their game. So please don't take offense to this. But come on, fucking a countdown for Dragonrider? like this is it seems so
this
silly.
Is the first time, unless there's a pre-order, this is the first time I've ever seen this feature ever. I've never heard of this before. 5 hours and 40 minutes and 28 seconds from now, we're going to be riding Dargans. But the cool thing about this is that it gave us a little bit more info regarding the game as well. It does support 2 PlayStation Move controllers. It does say it's PlayStation 4 enhanced, as well as uses DualShock 4 vibration. Mm-hmm. So it obviously we have to take this with a grain of salt because it's not always super accurate. I mean, Elden Ring said it had aim support, but this might be right. That it uses DualShock 4 and 2 Move controllers is Pro enhanced. And did you see the list of game features as well?
Oh, I didn't. I
want to talk about the different modes?
Yes. Yeah. Run them down for me, man. I feel like we did this on PSVR this week, and just FYI, some of these modes will be new, and some of the areas will be new for the PSVR release. They're going to get them into the PC version soon.
All right, so it says Dragonrider is an interactive fantasy experience with 7 game modes that immerses you into 10 stunning magical worlds. Fly your own Dargan or choose from a variety of preset rides and game settings. Test your marksmanship by shooting targets and balloons or swing your swords to the beat of the music in Rhythm Ride. Nice. Game features. Collect crystals as you play and customize your dragon and accessories. You can customize your dragon, Brian.
It's everything I've ever wanted.
Panoramic views, dragon rides. You can just take preset rides here. So these are the different modes. There's a free fly mode where it just says you control the dragon.
I mean, what more do you want from games? You get to be a Dargan. You get to fly around. Like the environments look pretty fucking cool in this trailer.
Ride a Dargan. You don't know. You don't.
You control the Dargan. If you are the Dargan, you're controlling the Dargan.
If you're riding a horse, do you get to become a horse? No, Brian.
I thought it said control the Dargan.
Oh, well, I think you do, but you control it riding it. It's called Dragon Ride, man.
Do I have to kick my heels into it and like whip it and shit?
Maybe. There's explore mode where it says play for hours, collect crystals, and find the secrets. Explore the magical worlds on your terms. A little bit of punctuation errors there. I don't think English is their native language. There's egg hunt that says find the lost dragon eggs before time runs out. This is sounding kind of fun. I'm not gonna lie. This sounds fun to me, man.
This has good reviews on Steam. Like people enjoy this, and so I'll be streaming this at midnight, or when it comes out tonight, because I've been curious about this for a long time. The developers, I talked to developers, they said, and if the game happens to be bad, I apologize for this, and if it doesn't sell well, I apologize to the developers. They said they brought it over to PSVR because they've been watching Without Parole for the last year, and they got excited about PSVR.
Oh,
I know.
I like these guys, man.
Without Parole is going to bring these developers into ruin. They'll be like, wait, you guys love PSVR, but nothing sells over there. How come no one told us?
Because it doesn't matter to us.
Yeah, as long as we get the game.
It sells. There's finally balloon hunt. Pop balloons to get as many points as possible. Double pop.
Nice. We got Red Rover, the effing Gamecat, the $10 tip. It says, Dargans.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, Red Rover.
Hell yeah, thank you.
He gets it. He understands. Some of you understand. I see you.
Looper, the Underground Gamecat with the €5 says, to be fair, well, I have seen counters for both Zenith and Wanderer 24 hours prior to release. You have a much different PlayStation store than I have, Looper, because my PlayStation store didn't even know that the game was coming out.
Now, it is important to note something here, though.
Yeah.
They said that it's going to be released in the North American store, but other territories might come a little bit later.
Yeah, it will be a little late.
You know, I don't know how many of you have alternate accounts. I have an account for every single region, and I highly recommend that always. But, yeah, if you're in other territories, you might have to wait a little bit longer. I'm sorry.
Indeed. All right, man, let's move along. Again, well, if you're interested in Dragonride, definitely hang out tonight on Without Parole. After we spend a few hours in Zenith together, I'm going to jump out and ride some Dargans live on the channel. AJ, let's move along, man. We got some pretty interesting news from Zubitech this week, right?
Okay. Yeah, there was just I don't know about news, but there was definitely something that caught my attention very much. Zubitech is known, or at least I know Zubitech on Twitter. He follows a lot of like hiring, different like job listings, all sorts of things here, and posts about them constantly. And he posted about a recent thing about rumored, now this is our rumored Sony partnerships that are taking place right now. Rumored partnerships. But he says that the descriptions are accurate because they're based off of job listings. So amongst this list, you know, we've got Camouflage here, who's making a brand new AAA game. Did we think that they were making a VR game? I know we did like a whole GAMESCAST on it, but did we know if they were doing that or not? A VR game?
Yeah,
I imagine so.
Yeah, I would imagine so. I don't think they've said anything specifically. I don't think they've really mentioned. I feel like there were job listings that sort of pointed to.
Right. I have to go back and watch our GAMESCAST to get filled in.
Yeah, I think there were job listings that pointed to it being a AAA game, and I want to say also a AAA VR game, but we'll see if that ends up being the case or not. I mean, if you made Iron Man, right, and it was a game that everybody loved, and you know, I see comments all the time, like, you know, say what you want about Iron Man, but there are people who comment all the time who say Iron Man is my favorite PSVR game, and I've even seen somebody say that it's their favorite game of all time, not never mind VR. So people fucking love Iron Man, man.
Yeah, MCU, man. That's why I said that's a hot ticket.
Yeah.
So we've also got First Contact Entertainment, which we know they're making a next-gen VR game. All it says is exciting next-generation project. Then there's one that's kind of up in the air. They've got Lucid and Wushu making a Twisted Metal game, but we're not really sure if that's going to be VR. But there's one thing that did catch my attention.
I love that you just gloss over that and go, oh, we're not really sure if it's going to be VR. Meanwhile, we had an entire episode of GamesCast that was like Twisted Metal PSVR.
Well, we were discussing it, and you know, because Firesprite Studios is the rumored developer now, and then people from Lucid Games, who one of the directors who also worked on MotorStorm and stuff, and what's that? I can never remember the freaking name of this game. The car battle one. The car battle one on PS5 that was free on PlayStation Plus.
Oh, Destruction All Stars.
Thank you. I can never remember that name for some reason. He joined one of the creative directors joined there. So, you know, I would just love Twisted Metal in VR is all I'm saying. But I don't know if this could very well be, you know, since Sony acquired Firesprite, it could be that they're just a first party studio and they make some non-VR games too. But anyways, the one that did catch my attention, Brian, that I was either forgot about or wasn't paying attention was White Moon Dreams is one of these rumored potential partners, which we know have worked on a ton of PlayStation 5 games and PlayStation 4 games, lots of stuff. And they supposedly have a VR title in the works and next generation projects.
Yeah, dude. I mean, White Moon Dreams is if you guys aren't familiar, if you don't know how much we love White Moon Dreams around here, we love White Moon Dreams a lot. There's sort of this go-to studio that doesn't get talked a lot about, but they made Starblood Arena, which was still one of the best multiplayer competitive games out there. Unfortunately, not playable anymore. But we know that they worked on a ton of non-VR games. And they were also the ones responsible for bringing Saints and Sinners over to PlayStation VR, not only flawlessly, but in record time. Like, these guys did not have a lot of time to do it, and they did it almost flawlessly very quickly. So these guys like have technical chops. They love VR, and they work with Sony constantly. They're not first party, but I think they should be, man. Like, Sony should definitely be considering buying these guys.
Yeah, yeah. They're pretty awesome. They're a great studio, and like, dude, they work on stuff like Returnal. You know, they have their hands in so many things, and with their VR chops is definitely another reason why I think they would make a great addition to some kind of partnership with Sony. Yeah, but I just thought that was really interesting. That caught my attention, and I really hope the best for this team. I want to see this team excel and flourish and get new opportunities to do things because. Like you said, with Starblood Arena, maybe not like the most addictive, catchiest, like didn't catch on, didn't sell like a whole bunch, didn't keep people invested. But there's no denying just how quality the game was. Like, it really felt like it was ahead of its time. I feel if that game came out like last year or something, people would be going nuts over it.
Oh, if it came out now, man, we'd be playing it constantly. Absolutely playing.
It was so better than Riggs. It was better than a lot of those early titles.
And people like things that are VR AF. People like things that are super immersive and really like make you feel like you're flying around and everything. Like, this is stuff that we crave now. Some people at the launch were like, "Oh, I can't handle it," but now we crave this shit. And so And so I guess the simple question, the obvious question is what game do you think they're working on? What AAA VR game? Is that what it said? AAA VR?
Just next generation projects. I think they're still working on a bunch of just PS5. Well, when they say next generation stuff, that to me sounds like VR, because PS5 is already released. Like, that is current gen. That is no longer next gen.
Right.
So I don't really know what that means, but yeah, they are working on a VR title. So
Returnal.
It could be anything,
cool.
Man. I hope they work on another multiplayer shooter. I want them to get another chance at another multiplayer shooter.
Well,
right now,
I'll tell you what I want from them. If you guys go back and watch my my Secret Heroes of PSVR video, it's all about White Moon Dreams. I kind of did like a company profile of them, and one of the things that they had worked on that they couldn't get a publisher for was this Metroid Prime style first person shooter. And it was supposed to be their follow-up to Starblood, and it just never happened. And just hearing them talk about it, and it really was just like, that was something we fucking needed on PlayStation VR, and we still kind of do. Like, we haven't gotten enough original first-person shooters. To give those guys the opportunity on next-gen hardware to kind of finally live out the vision of this game that they had, I think would be amazing. But also, I'll take Returnal.
I will take. Yeah, I would love that or Returnal. Absolutely, would be my number two. Like, my two top things I would love to see from them.
Yeah, we got Red Rover, the effing Gamecat, with the $5 tip. Says Dargans came from a typo I made in the chat in AJ's Skyrim stream. I can't speak. So happy it caught on with you, AJ. LOL, love it.
Yes,
I love that kind of shit, man.
Hell yeah, Red Rover.
We say Dargans all the time, but yeah, people do forget where all these inside jokes come from. Very
so
cool.
many typos.
I mean, that's where Gamecats
Brian,
came from, right?
It is time to talk about the two games that just came out. Happy days, everybody. The beginning of the end for PSVR 1. The swan song has begun, and it starts with two awesome games that we're going to talk about and have some critique of. We like to keep it balanced. We not every game is perfect, and we got some things we're going to point out. But we're going to kick things off with Zenith, The Last City.
Yeah. And I mean, it's been... I will say, I think the headline of this show is, Wander and Zenith, is this the best PlayStation VR week ever, or something along those lines? I forget what it was. And I know And I know that yesterday was rough for a lot of people. Let's start there, right? Yesterday we were supposed to have two amazing games: this big single player epic puzzle solving adventure, and then the complete opposite end of the spectrum, Zenith with the MMO features and just it's a great way to get in there and hang out with friends, and for a lot of people, all day yesterday was super frustrating. So while this is
Yeah.
it might be one of the best weeks ever for PlayStation VR, yesterday was rough, and I feel for all of you. Wanderer showed up on the store, then disappeared all day long, and then on top of that, Zenith people bought, and then they couldn't even play it really until today. A lot of people couldn't. I was with you guys. I couldn't play Zenith until today, so I feel your pain. But I will say, dude, it was so worth the wait. It was so worth the wait. It's an MMO. I guess we should have expected this kind of shit. We didn't know to what degree they were going to have issues because it's a VR game. We didn't expect that many players. I'm sure they didn't expect that many players. But it sold amazingly well, right?
Yeah, so like I said earlier, at least we know on Steam that it is the top of the sales charts right now. And when the servers went live yesterday, I started streaming and there was like some people in there. And I think it was funny because I don't think I realized the surge of players that like was on the way that I didn't even know was coming. Because usually we jump into an online game and there's like, it's like usually the first day or two are like the busiest days, but it's still never like full capacity. I mean, like, even after the fall, like there was a lot of people playing, but it was nothing like what we saw here. I mean,
Right.
so Zenith has different shards, which are basically servers that hold a certain amount of players. And like each one just instantly was like full. All of them maxed out to the point to where they actually they had an issue with their ISP. Like they got locked out from their ISP, probably due to the heavy traffic. And it was, it was unfortunate, but it was also like one of the best ways you could have. I mean, it was a good sign for having these kinds of issues that there were so many people wanting to play and jump in. And I haven't played a lot of MMOs. I mean, I'm sorry. I haven't played a lot of MMOs at launch, but a lot of people are telling me like this is normal. I've played a lot of MMOs, but most of the time I'm hearing that MMOs often the launches are a little bit sporadic and updates are as well. And considering they had a turnaround within 24 hours, I feel like they did a pretty good job with what they did.
Yeah, I mean, the fact is that they did two betas and they worked out a lot of the kinks, a lot of the bugs. I was able to jump in today. Finally, it sucked yesterday, but the fact is like we're never gonna think about yesterday again, right? Once you get in there and you start playing, it's immediately just so enjoyable and so much fun. You run in and you start seeing other people before you've even done anything. You see people who are running around with their friends and shooting enemies and flying through the air, and then you start. I mean, for us, it's even more exciting because you walk in and you see people right away. I saw Aceville before the second I crossed the bridge. Aceville was the first person I saw. He's standing there. I was like, yeah, and then I turn and I see Neon Groove and I see like just 12-toed Tom. I mean, I could list 10 cats I saw immediately, and then legit like I was like guys, they're all hanging out and having fun and chatting and stuff, and I'm like talking, but then I'm like I gotta level up, like I gotta at least get to level 6 or 7 or something, because I just stepped into the game for the first time. You guys have been here all day, or at least longer than I had. So I was like I'm gonna run off and just do some low level shit, and I ran off and from a rooftop I heard Brian Paul. And it was, I was like, who's that? And I looked around, and it was fucking Dan Kiefer standing on top of a building. He's like, what's up, dude? Like looking down at me, and I was like, oh shit, And so it's just, if it wasn't multiplayer, there'd be a fun game here. But like, I barely even played the game today. I got to drop in for an hour, and it was just the whole social aspect just pulls you in and makes you social. I'm super antisocial. I really don't. I don't like being around a lot of people. Like it weirds me out. Like if there's a big group of people, even in Rec Room or Zenith, it's nerve wracking for me. Like I stand there and I listen to people talk, right? And I generally only talk if somebody comes up to me. And I do feel that in this game, but at the same time, I was overwhelmed by like just how great it was being around all of these people whose names that I've seen for years. It's just the social aspect is fucking incredible.
Yeah, MMOs are a little bit different beast than just your regular. You go into a Call of Duty or something, and it's like thing. There's people talking shit. There's people just being like, all you hear is fuck like every 2 seconds, and people like just all sorts of toxic. There's good people there too, of course, but I think similar to how like a lot of us didn't play multiplayer games, but then when we got to VR, we were like, oh, like we love this community. We like it's such a different atmosphere because it's a little bit more niche. So, and I think that's kind of what is happening with this MMO in VR is that you're seeing an MMO kind of atmosphere, which is also a niche thing. So you don't. There's there's going to be people. There's no matter where you go, there's going to be toxic people or whatever anywhere you go. But there's also like a lot of. It's just a different mood. It's a different atmosphere, and it's really friendly and inviting for the most part. And I think that's what you probably are experiencing here is just that double up on that different kind of audience.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's funny because despite the fact that there was a ton of cats in there today, that I'm running off and doing my own like low level stuff, just getting caught up to everybody, and I ran into a bunch of new people I'd never even like that I don't know, and just people doing the same thing that I was doing, just trying to knock out those first few missions just to level up kind of quickly, it's just really fun to be in there. So
like go into Zenith and go mingle with some people, and then go into Rec Room for about 5 minutes, and you'll immediately see the difference here.
Yeah. So I mean, we've talked a lot about Zenith over the last month or so, especially once we were able to play the betas. I mean, where you were able to spend a lot more time in the final build here than I was, and be able to play it. What's going on, man? Like, this
is like my third time playing through it.
Well, that's what That's what I was saying. Is like this is my third time starting a new character and having to start from scratch. And I mean, and some of the things that I saw. Some of the things that I saw today, or just the controls, there was like these tiny little quality of life improvements that just felt better. Everything seemed to work a little bit better, and little glitches that I experienced before didn't seem to be showing up. So it seemed like the beta's paid off. But I think, have spent way more time in it since launch than I have because it actually worked for you yesterday. So how are you feeling about it?
Really, really good. I mean, like you said, man, it has been incredible how many of people from our community that I've been able to connect with and have some fun with. I mean, I was just I was running into our friends or people that we see in the chat and people we talk to in Discord all the time. I was just running into them left and right, and I was so excited every time it happened because, quite frankly, our community is pretty big, and this is the first game that can actually fit all of our community in the same place at once. Yeah. And on top of that, I'm a big RPG guy. I'm a big MMO guy. I loved World of Warcraft. I loved Final Fantasy 14: A Realm Reborn, and a couple others that I played. A little bit of EverQuest, a little bit of Guild Wars 2. Man, it's really, really awesome. These guys really know their game design, and I think there's something bigger at play here that I think a lot of people aren't talking about. But there's been this operating system, or there's been this thing called Spatial OS, which is basically an online kind of like a live service setup for developers, and they're utilizing these tools. I think games like Population One uses Township Tale, a couple others, but there's a lot of games like this one that came out. I don't know if you remember hearing about a game called like Scavengers or whatever, where it can actually have the power to host like thousands of players at once. And they're using this technology, and what it does is it allows for the developers to focus on content and not so much the architecture, the structure of the game. And it's really interesting to see this technology. So like on so many levels, this game is really a breakthrough. I mean, and it's been really fascinating to witness, and kind of this emerging tech. You know, you and I, we care about games first and foremost, right? Like we're like, we don't care. We just want the best games we can get. Right. But I do kind of look into the tech sometimes behind it, some kind of the behind the scenes stuff. And this is one of those ones that I find really, really fascinating, with how it works. And yeah, man, I love this. It's just your standard RPG elements, but you get to interact with everything. It's VR as fuck, as we like to say, where it's designed for VR, where you get to reach, like, you know, interact and feel and grab everything.
Yeah. I mean, you said at the beginning of the show, like we're not going to just, you know, praise these games endlessly without calling out their faults. But it's interesting when a game like this has a bunch of faults. Like, you know, the quests aren't terribly interesting, really. It's like just go here and then go here and then kill a bunch of these and bring them back here and click the button. It's like whatever, you know. I don't
sort of, yeah.
I think
it's a little bit more than that, but yeah.
Sure, right, but it's that you know, the enemies are, you know, they're very straightforward, right? The enemies are just kind of like running at you and firing and trying to kill you, but without really working together, like as a group of enemies or anything like that. So the AI is like kind of all over the place, but it's those kind of things that like just don't really matter in this. We haven't gotten a JRPG ever on PlayStation VR, and then on top of it, we haven't gotten an MMO, and so we're sort of getting some JRPG elements here. We're getting obviously the overarching genre would be MMO, and so we're getting this for the first time, and experiencing it in VR is amazing. And the things that it's doing, like being able to climb anywhere, like being able to glide and control your flying, and doing all this with friends, makes all of those little things like just so unimportant, right? Because like, who cares if the enemies have good AI when you and 9 of your friends are just fucking pounding them together at the same time? That sounded sexual, but I didn't mean it that way.
I think there is a little bit of a misconception about the AI and the function of the game, because what they've done is so in like a standard MMO, let's take World of Warcraft for example. You run up to an enemy, and when you get within a certain radius of it, it then sees you and then starts coming towards you. And, you know, like an RPG, you have health points. You work with health points. It's not just like, oh, you know, 3 strikes, you're out or something. It all depends on the level of the character, how much damage they deal, the different status effects they can do to you. And what I love about this game is how they've converted what used to be, for me, walking up to an enemy and like clicking different attacks or whatever, different abilities and attacks. It used to just be like that, and then there's a cooldown that you have to wait for it, and then there's of course like upgrades for everything. They've converted this, I think, really gracefully to VR in a way where instead of running up with a keyboard and mouse and clicking an action to take place, you're actually physically doing these things to do that, and you have the cooldown, so you're limited in how you do it. So it almost works like an active time battle, where you're physically doing all of this action in the process, versus just like a turn-based system or something. And that's the one thing I think is really awesome about the combat for me personally. I know I said I was going to criticize it, but I have so many good things to say.
Exactly. And that's what I'm saying is like everything you just listed, like the VRAF elements, the way that you cast spells, the way that you're actually fighting like without clicking buttons. These are the things that make up for the relatively less than stellar, you know, quest, or less than stellar, you know, like just like, oh, here's another group of enemies that are gonna, you know, just charge at us. It's like it's fine. Like that, I never once look at that stuff and go, oh, this is lame, right? I'm like, no, because I get to play it with a bunch of people and I get to have fun and we're all climbing everywhere and just running around together, and that element makes up for really any of its downfalls, making it one of the best games on PlayStation VR, period. So.
Yeah, I mean, just the open world is beautiful and it's huge. There's a lot to explore. There's just enough variety, I feel, in some of the gameplay, some of the abilities you unlock, and there's only like, so at first there's only like 2 classes that you can choose from, and then there's 3 subclasses, and at first I was kind of like, you know, I wish there was more classes, but I looked a little bit deeper into it and I saw what they've done here, and that is they've crammed a lot of abilities and different what we call godstones in this game, and they've kind of all got those abilities in the same subclasses, and depending on and so it's really interesting what they've done. Instead of having like a blade master, a mage, a bow and arrow guy, a brawler, all these different potential things like races, classes, they've kind of given you the option and ability to customize your own character with these two classes into whatever you want.
Yeah, and there's more coming. Like obviously, this is essentially day one. This is day two for some people, but it's essentially day
Yeah.
one. And so they do have a new character type coming at some point. Right now it's the Essence Mage and the Blade Master. But I'm expecting the third one to be some kind of ranged attack, like an archer or something along those lines. And obviously they're going to keep expanding the world. And the greatest thing is like they finally said publicly, we're not going to do a subscription model. We're not thinking
Right.
about paid DLC right now or paid
Yeah.
expansions. We're focused on bringing more free content and keeping people playing and keeping them in the game, making them interested in what we're doing. And I think that's fantastic that they finally said that, because we just really didn't know what the short-term goals were for Zenith. And if it keeps selling well, then they're going to be able to do that for a while.
Yeah, I think that they're off to a great start, and there's so much room for improvement too. Like, I mean, there's a lot of end game content that can be expanded. There's additional areas and stuff that can be expanded, additional classes. So I think that you get a great value for $30, and with a 10% discount right now.
Yep.
I think they killed the deal you get, and that's why I get a little frustrated with some of the people that are dissatisfied with what the game has to offer now, because I'm like, man, like if only you knew would like appreciate what you're getting right now for such a bargain price.
Yeah. Especially
And
comparatively.
then
You look at the platform,
yeah,
you look at PlayStation VR, and like what we've gotten for $27 prior to this.
yeah,
Uh,
good God.
like 3 hour games, 4 hour games, 5 hour games, games
Right.
that were not impressive, that were not fun, where multiplayer was broken, controls were broken. This was, I mean, it's like they're kind of killing it on all fronts with this,
Yeah.
and they could have charged us $50 for it, and they didn't.
Yeah. But I think it's really awesome. Now, there are a couple things, like you said. I want to try to be balanced here and offer some criticisms to it. I mean, there's some bugs that, I know I reported in the beta, stuff like the water in the second area. There's some visual glitches. There's some visual, I'd say like there's still some visual polish that could be added. There's between some glitches in the menus, glitches in some of the areas. Not a whole lot because, but there definitely are. There's stuff like the crashing for me is back now, which was actually gone for a while. But
Seems like a
some of the
PlayStation 5 problem from everything I've heard.
yeah, it's yeah, I could see that. Maybe it is an SSD problem because I don't know if I don't know if I had any crashes while I was on the hard drive, and I moved it to the SSD today, and then I had some bad crashes. So could be PS5 related. But yeah, I think that there's definitely room for some additional polish in some areas and some refining of things. Like I love the cooking in the game where it's so interactive. I mean, you can take out you just whip out this table out of nowhere, which is ridiculous, but I love it. And then you can like slice up oranges and whatnot and flip pancakes or flip dough. But then you go to like the synthesis machine or the crafting, and it's very just like push a button and or pull a lever and it's done. Unlike the other one, the lever one's not too bad, but I would like for the crafting. I hope to see them kind of do with some of the rest of the things you can do in the game with what they did with the cooking, where it's like this whole system and it's more complex, but it's also more interactive. It's more VR, I would say.
Yeah, no, absolutely. This is, as far as I'm concerned, this is about as best we could hope for on day one. This is
Definitely exceeded my expectations overall.
absolutely, absolutely. And I see comments nonstop from people just being like immediately getting that sense of satisfaction. Like the second they walk in, they do things for the first time. The second they realize they can climb anything, the second realize they can just jump and then, T-pose and glide to their next destination. Like it's just this immediate satisfaction. And I'm seeing a lot of people who I'm assuming just had the exact same experience I did during Beta 1, where I walked in and just went, wow, this is everything I want. This is great. So very, very happy this all worked out. We got Bell Ramio, the Game Cat, with a couple of donations. First and foremost, for the €5, says, don't forget that soon we'll get a second race in Zenith, Cat People.
Yes.
I'm excited for Cat People.
Yeah, and there is one thing too that I don't know if it's going to be addressed or not, but the control. I'm speaking on behalf of the community here because I feel like that's kind of our job sometimes. Sure. At least I do. There is like an option that says like point the joystick, the move wand in the direction you want to walk, and like you can select that option, but that doesn't work. I hope they realize how important that is to some people.
Yeah, for sure.
Because and that's something we're going to talk about with Wanderer as well. Like we typically don't like the head movement thing. I personally love the controls, but I understand that there are some people that are just like so used to the Saints and Sinners exact style of movement.
Yeah.
And so I do hope that is addressed as well.
Yeah, no, it certainly bothers me in some games more than others. Like, there's nothing worse than being like, I want to walk in this direction, and then like you look this way, and then you start walking that way. It's like, oh no, that's not what I wanted to do, right? Especially in an action game, especially when you want like full control and know exactly, you want to be able to look this way and see if there's any enemies that way without actually running toward the enemies that might be over there. So I totally get it. I feel like I just adapt to whatever is thrown my way, especially lately. Especially when they come close, right? They gave us like 90% of what we wanted, and then this little thing was like didn't work. It's like I just fucking adapt, but I absolutely get it when it bothers people because that shit bothers me too. Bell Ramio, the Game Cat with the €2 says it makes me hate the $40 price for After the Fall even more. I'm like, yeah, absolutely.
But let me just say, for my rating overall for this game, I'm probably in like a 9.5. Because I think it's amazing. I think it's a must-have. I think I will recommend this to absolutely every single person that is interested in it. I've had so much fun, and there's just so much to explore. I love exploration, and the combat's fun. The art style is great, and it's a beautiful world to explore. And there's lots of content there. So really love what they've done with this game overall, and I'm going to be excited with every single big update that happens.
Yeah, as much as I'd love to like try to knock it down a peg or two for anything it doesn't do perfectly, when I give a game a 10, I'm not saying it's perfect. I'm not saying it's absolutely flawless from beginning to end. It's usually that it reaches this new mark and creates a new high water mark for what we should expect in PSVR games moving forward. Saints and Sinners did that. Song in the Smoke did that. I think we'll talk about Wanderer in a second, but I think Wanderer does that to an extent. But there was a reason I couldn't give it a perfect 10. I do think Zenith is an example of that. And if I gave it a 10, I would not. I wouldn't think twice about it. I would stand behind that. Without a doubt,
it does kind of revolutionize like MMOs and multiplayer games on VR. It does something brand new that we just haven't seen executed at a high level like this before. And is it perfect in absolutely every way? No, but what it does just greatly outweighs what it doesn't do or what it needs to be fixed, which probably will get fixed eventually.
Yeah. MRM Rapido in the chat says if you need PlayStation Plus to play Zenith, you do. But there's no subscription fee, so it's Plus. I mean, you should have Plus anyway. No offense. It's just Plus is like standard at this point. Braxpro says, will Brian create a Zenith review before and after the fall review? Likely, but after the fall review is coming soon because there's a patch coming soon. And I promised that we already gave impressions for After the Fall, and I was like, I will wait until this patch to give it its final review. Just a word of warning. I guess it's not really a warning. It's just to let you know if you're on the OG PS4, there are load screens in Zenith. There's these purple barriers that you can't see on the Pro or the PlayStation 5, where it's like when you cross the barrier, it's going to load for a second, and you can die during that loading screen, and you can get attacked, and your party will just keep walking without you because they don't know that you've just crossed this barrier, and so it sucks. But everybody I've talked to says it's not a game breaker. It's not a deal breaker. They said the game looks good overall and it plays great. So just an FYI, it's just something to be aware of if you're buying it. It's not going to look as great as it does or be as silky smooth from one area to the next as it is like on AJ's and my streams. Before we move on to Wanderer, we got Ben Dawson in the chat with 100 quid. I didn't read this ahead of time, so it says, it's now 3 years since my wife died, hashtag Fuckcancer. For our final Christmas, she bought me a PlayStation 4. I discovered PSVR and this channel soon after. The kids keep me busy. I love seeing you guys and interacting with the cats when I can. Keep up the good work. You all rock. Ben, so sorry to hear about your wife. I've got a similar story to tell, so I'm with you, and it's always tough to like move on after something like that. I'm really glad for this community, and I'm glad that we can be here for you, and I'm glad that you guys are here for me. So fucking much love, dude. Much love.
Oh yeah, man. Thank you so much, dude.
AJ, this is going to be a longer show than expected, but we got to talk about Wanderer because that also came out yesterday, and man, oh man, oh man, did it blow us away.
Dude,
did it blow you away? Sorry, I'm waiting. I can't even fucking open my. I can't even change the trailer. I hate OBS so much sometimes.
Yeah, man. So Wander is a game that we've been following for a while. We first saw it on your PlayStation VR or PSVR or April. I'm sorry, April is PSVR as fuck or something. Go show.
Thanks for watching, AJ.
I did watch it.
April's PSVR AF event. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, April's PSVR AF, and yeah, I mean, we saw this, and man, I was a little skeptical about it, to be honest with you, because we're just not used to. We never really know what to expect, and so we always like to keep our expectations in check. And man, this game blew my fucking mind. Like, I mean, to me, the easiest way I can put it is that Wanderer is what VR is all about and what it is meant to be. When we see a lot of games, a lot of AAA devs that, have a shitty port or, a not very immersive, interactive game, something like Wanderer comes along that is a reminder that, like, hey, like indie devs, indie games are not the same that they used to be. That I think for me the most surprising thing is I feel like this is a AAA game in VR, and I mean that in so many different ways, not just graphically, but I mean that in content. I mean that in just the amount of stuff that is in the game.
Yeah. I agree. I agree. We didn't, I didn't know much about M Theory or Odd Boy, the two teams that teamed up to do this game together, and I was a little nervous. Like I know that sometimes when we see a trailer that looks as good as good as Wanderer did, we say, oh well, it's PC VR footage, and like they don't have the chops to make this run well on PlayStation VR. And at the same time, when you see something that beautiful that was designed for VR, you go, well, they spent all their time making it look good, and so it's going to be really short, and it's going to be like more of a tech demo than anything. And I just there were all these kind of warning signs, all the things that should have made us excited about the game over the last 5 or 6 years. We've learned that these things that should make us excited are actually warning signs, that reasons to be cautiously optimistic instead of really optimistic. And
Right.
and we were fucking nervous, man. And so nothing made me happier than getting into the game and realizing that first of all, this trailer is a PlayStation VR footage. The game looks as good as these trailers are showing off.
Yeah.
But then on top of that, there's just so much more going on underneath the hood, in that it's not a 2 or 3 or 4 hour game. That's a full length adventure.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, this is one of those games where I'm just like, you know, it's really surprising. But yeah, like you said, it's this game I think is like for me over 10 hours long in my with my experience with it. And like a lot of that is kind of the setup in the game is a lot of figuring out the way the game works. But it really does deliver everything that I was hoping to have. You know, I'm not a big puzzle guy, but this really blew my mind in terms of well, like the examples of puzzle games I have liked have been in VR, and it's because they have gameplay and things that you can only execute in VR. And I feel like this does it from both a gameplay standpoint and a like visual like journey where it takes you. You know, it has so much freedom to to transport you to all these places because it's a game about time travel, and therefore it's like they said when we were talking to Ben and Huge, it's like they wanted you to be able to just be transported across all these places, but like I said, the level of execution here is what impresses me the most. It's being able to go to all these places, but all the things that you can interact with and mess with, and just how seamlessly it seems to do it, and how good it looks doing it as well.
Yeah, there's I can't remember any load screens happening in Wanderer. Just to speak to your point about how well it does things, it's very seamless. You're in one environment and you'll be in this environment for 10-20 minutes, and then you're like, oh, I need to go get something somewhere else, like in some other time period, right? And you just grab the item and you just throw it into your watch, and boom, like the screen goes white and then it fades back in and you're in that new time place, and with really no loading at all. It feels very
So
natural.
if you die, Proud Dog is pointing out if you die, there's loading screens. So yeah,
Okay, well don't
that's
don't
but
don't do that.
yeah, just don't die. I mean, that's the thing. It's supposed to be a puzzle game, but you can die in it. You can accidentally kill people and fail the mission in it, which is super cool to
I
me.
didn't
I
I didn't
like
have a load
that
screen
there.
when I died. I died a bunch of times. Everything went black and white to me, and then it went boom and brought me back
Oh,
to my
wait,
home
yeah, you're
base.
right.
No load screens.
You're
So
right.
maybe this is PlayStation 5 or PS4 Pro thing, or maybe it's because of an SSD.
Yeah,
But
because if you die or something goes horribly wrong, the way they describe it is if it strays too far from like the timeline or the events that are supposed to happen, then the watch transports you back to safety in your own timeline. But I think that's how they. But yeah, I feel like I did see some loading screens, but not many.
yeah, no, it's pretty seamless. And again, like being on PlayStation 5, maybe we missed something. Maybe Proud Dog can help us out and let us know what console he's playing
Yeah.
on. But yeah, but overall, it just feels really well done. Um, He says he's on PlayStation 5, but an external drive, so he's not using the SSD. So for be warned then, if you're on
Yeah.
the if you're, did you play this on the Pro or the PS5, AJ?
I played it on a PS5, but on an external drive as well. So maybe that's why I kind of remember some loading screens, but
Okay.
I don't really remember them that well. I know whenever you teleport, like it's not a teleport and then you load.
Hmm.
You know, it's not a loading screen. When you time travel, I mean, the screen goes white and then it comes back and then you're in a new place. So
Yeah.
it's a little smoke and mirrors. Like it's not like a loading. It's like everything flashes and then goes.
It's good to know these things because very frequently, like, we didn't have a lot of time to play Wanderer before today. The keys came through late. We were not able to. I mean, I wasn't able to just sit there and test it on my Pro or test it on my PS4. I was like, I just got to blast through this on my PlayStation 5 as fast as possible to have a review ready for launch. And I think I got that review ready, finished 30 minutes before embargo lifted. And plus I've been sick. Really sorry, guys. It sucks. I haven't been able to do as much as I want to for the channel. But dude, one, it's first of all, I mentioned a bunch of bugs in the review, and I've
Yeah.
gone back and they've patched the game twice. They've had two major patches since the version that I played, and it does run a whole lot better now. There's like some things that became big issues for AJ and I don't even seem to be in the game anymore, and so,
Yeah.
uh, but really one of the things I keep thinking about as far as Wanderer is concerned is that it's it really does feel like, with no spoilers, I promise, it really does
Yep.
feel like that by the end of the adventure, by the time you've finished and rolled credits, it feels like you've been on this big adventure, this big journey,
Yeah.
that you've actually been through something, and they take you. Just when I think that the game has run out of ideas, just when I think the game's going to run out of creativity, or just when I think that it's done showing you new things, it blows your fucking mind.
Yeah.
It's like,
Yeah.
it just feels
That
so good.
Yeah, there are points in this game where it kind of goes up and down. There are some parts that are more exciting than others, but it always like rewards you for sticking through it, no matter what happens. It typically you once you get back, if you get lost or something, you get back on track, you feel good again. Because I remember there was some things. Now, some of the things that I ran into were bugs that were patched day one, that were incredibly frustrating, but yeah, so those aren't even really issues anymore. But it didn't even matter. I mean, once I got past those hurdles and got to the next thing, I was like, man, this is super impressive. Yeah, there's more than you even think you can do in this game. I mean, if you just play this game, and what I love about this is, like you said, it is a long game. It is a long story to follow, but but there's actually more things you can do in the game that they don't necessarily tell you. But let's just say, like, you can take a toy or something that you can play with, and you can take it somewhere else, and you can create kind of like your own mini games with this. This is I don't want to. I really don't want to
It's
spoil
fun to
anything.
experiment. Like the thing, like what you're talking about
Yes,
is it kind of like lends to experimentation, where you take something from
right.
any time period and bring it to another time period and see what you can do there. And sometimes it's just fun for trophies because there's a few trophies that are locked behind that kind of stuff. But
Yeah,
sometimes it'll work and sometimes it won't. But it's fun to experiment.
yeah. There's definitely lots of things you can experiment with. I was doing a lot of this on my stream yesterday, and it yielded some pretty awesome results. And a lot of the stuff that I was just having fun on the stream, like was just experiencing for the first time, and like I don't even think I thought of it before then. And I was like, this is a good idea. And they've given you hints, like they've shown you some stuff in the trailers and whatnot. But it's always different with VR. Like once you experience it yourself, that light bulb flips on. You go, oh yeah, I can do this. But yeah, man, there's like I said. So this game, it had some ups and downs throughout it. Very minor, I would say, just a collective like minor of ups and downs. Maybe some of the pacing or stuff. I don't think everything was perfect, but I feel like any rough edges this game has is a result of them pushing the boundaries as far as they could go. I never was like mad about any game design decisions or anything, although I do think that there are a couple quality of life features that it's just like, hey, maybe we should just put this in so the game doesn't become frustrating. Because I think with my experience with it, that was the only problem, was that there were some issues where I could become frustrated, but overall, like what I was doing and what the game was achieving was really incredible, and so I didn't really mind too much,
Yeah.
with it being so ambitious as it is. And I think they executed so many things at such a high level that, again, just like Zenith, I was able to kind of forgive any of the small frustrations or any tiny little rough edges because of just what they do achieve here.
Yeah. Pietrek F with the 9 plantain says, "Are Zenith and Wanderer better than Gunjack?" Yes.
Yes, by not even like close.
Yeah. Actually, just
I don't even think Gunjack's that good.
no, Gunjack's very not really that good. But it's but just on his, because he brought it up. I think this is going to make the next top 25 discussion really fun, really interesting. I think we got two games here between Zenith and Wanderer that suddenly, for me, have cracked the top 10. And I think we're really going to start mixing things up. And I think the top 5 could even be there could be potential disruption
Yeah,
there.
yeah, we got to let stuff settle in just a little bit. Take the weekend to think about it, ponder over it, and
Yeah.
play the game some more. Obviously, um, I'll be honest with you though.
Yeah.
I was legitimately thinking that that Wander, so I think the game is a masterpiece. I really do. I think it's a masterpiece with a couple rough edges, small rough edges. But I do think overall it is still a masterpiece. It is a very special game that deserves to be in the same talks of a Saints and Sinners, a Half-Life Alyx, a Boneworks. And we had heard from the developers that, we always bitch about other developers making games, not looking around at the most successful games and taking and learning from that, and using that to implement them into their game.
Yeah.
Man, I think that there's an argument to be made that that Wander at least gets very, very close to being, for me personally, to being considered the best PSVR game, and one of the best VR games of all time at this point, because of just the length of it, the content, the quality of it, the amount of interaction you have in it. I always praise Saints and Sinners for the physics and the reason I don't think it would uproot Saints and Sinners is because Saints and Sinners doesn't have any flaws, and I feel like Wanderer has a few small ones.
Yeah.
But what they achieve is pretty amazing.
I've got a couple more tips here, but there's something I want to get back to in a second as well. Let's see if we can do this in the right order. Walid Saeed Faridi with the Canadian $2 tip says, does the PS5 offer better graphics for Wanderer? It's Pro enhanced. So what you're seeing on PlayStation 5 should be the same as the PlayStation 4 Pro. I haven't tested that personally, but I think the only downgrade you get on PlayStation 4, if I'm correct, don't quote me on this, is downgraded resolution. And so I'm at some point I'm gonna have to hook up my OG PS4 that I haven't had hooked up in a while and do some insane comparisons and see how it looks.
Hard to Get is a bit overhyped in my opinion. It is far from a Red Matter and a Zing. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I disagree wholeheartedly. I think Wander is so much better than Zing or Red Matter. Red Matter is, I think, sort of the go-to game in my head for these type of adventure puzzle games where the puzzles are so well integrated into the environments, and especially Red Matter was PSVR AF as well, or VR AF, but it was also only like 3 or 4 hours, and I think there's slow moments in Red Matter too that don't quite gel the way that I wish they had. There's some great moments, and I think Red Matter is like a 9 out of 10 all day long every day. It's an amazing adventure game. But I do think that Wanderer is so much better. I'd have to ask Hard to Get. Have you finished Wanderer? Because I think once you finish it,
no, I think he said he's like 4 hours in, and
yeah, that's a huge deal, man. When you get to the 12-hour point and you roll credits, you get back to us, because that was sort of in my head the whole time too. I was like, this is a great game, but this is a great game, but, and I had a lot of buts. Right, but once you finish, man, I really do think that you're going to have a kind of an awakening. I think it really does step.
He says, yeah, Braxbro says like rank those three and the Room VR. Yeah, I really love the Room VR, but this is kind of like what I wanted the Room VR to be, which is like that. The Room has great atmosphere, great puzzles. But this has a little bit more of the Red Matter style, where it's like you're doing stuff for, like, it feels like you're doing stuff for a reason versus just solving puzzles.
Yeah.
It feels. Now, I do agree that Red Matter is incredibly quality. It has some of the best looking graphics. It has these amazing immersive like puzzles that feel like you're just going on an adventure. But I feel like Wanderer just does it at a higher level overall for a longer amount of time, and like you said, the game being a full length game, I think when if Red Matter was like 10 to 15 hours and had some more variety to it other than just solving puzzles, then we'd be talking here. But but no, and Zing is just environment. Like I love Zing. It's one of my favorite puzzle games of all time. I like Wanderer more, and I do not
Yeah.
say that lightly.
There's something about Zing that, as much as I love it, as much as I'll go to bat for that game all day, every day,
Yeah,
because and say if you like puzzle games, you should definitely get this. There is a lot about Zing that's like you walk into an area and be like, okay, now solve that puzzle. And then you walk into another area and you go, okay, now solve that puzzle. And a lot of the storytelling is done through, just these voiceovers that all to me, and this is such a personal thing, it's just way too zen. I'm like, leave this in your meditation class, man. I'm just not interested in this. And so Wanderer kind of gives like a much more, punch to the gut story, and has. And I think it's just told so much better. I'm not a huge fan of the NPCs in Wanderer. I think they do come off a little flat, like I said in my review. But I think overall, when you combine it all together, it tells an amazing fucking story, and it tells it in a really it tells it in a good way. Like, not only through your experiences, but through interactions with characters, but through the puzzle solving, but also through through all these things. And I just feel like once I finished Wanderer, I said I've realized I've never played anything like this in VR before.
yeah, it's yeah. I love Red Matter. I love the Room VR. I love Zing the Land Beyond. I love all these games, and I agree with you. I just think overall Wanderer is better,
Yes.
and that's basically all I can say there.
Yep, absolutely. We got two more tips, and then we got to start wrapping this thing up. We got Wally Seed for Reedy again with a Canadian $2 tip. Says, versus Saints and Sinners, how are the graphics, mechanics, and controls?
Oh man,
Better graphics, even though that Saints and Sinners is a great looking game. Better graphics. This
Yeah.
goes for more realism, and it just Saints and Sinners is ultimately cartoony, like it's a dark cartoon, right? They kind of go for this dark comic book style, but Wander is just so much more realistic.
A lot of people in my stream said that it looks like Half-Life Alex, and
Yeah.
I have to agree to at least somewhat.
Yeah, and the mechanics is like Saints and Sinners has great crafting mechanics and a lot of different things. But Wanderer's got its own set of things that it does great. So I mean, kind of like I'd say kind of pretty balanced there.
They're both VRAF, as we like to say. I think Saints and Sinners has better physics, but I think Wanderer still has really impressive physics and a lot of stuff to mess with.
Yep.
And that intertwines with the storytelling a lot. And yeah, they do, like you said, it does. It might not always maintain as a clear, perfect resolution all the time. But when it does hit those highs, it's like, God damn, they are high highs.
Yeah, big time. In the controls, I think both games have great controls, but in Wanderer does struggle a little bit. It doesn't I don't believe it has a walk
I'd say
backwards
Saints
button.
and Sinners has slightly better controls.
Agreed. You can't
because-
walk backwards in Wanderer, but it's also not like an action game, right? So it's like it'd be nice, but it's like so every so often, because usually when I open a door in a game, I grab the door and then I hit the walk backwards button, so it just kind of like opens naturally. And sometimes I just have to like do something weird to open the door, like fling it open and walk into. But yeah, I mean it's more of a point and click adventure game. It's less actiony, so that stuff didn't really bother me. And then finally, Clayton Young with the $2 tip says, "Is this live? Did I finally make it?" Yeah, you made it, Clayton. Thank you so much for being here live and donating. We appreciate you so much. AJ, final thoughts on Wonder before we move on to 20 questions.
Like I said, I think it's a masterpiece, and I think everybody should go out and play it. If it's just like I would tell you to go out and play Saints and Sinners right now. I would like to add Wander to that conversation as well. I don't like puzzle games. I freaking love this game. It's like one of my favorite games of all time. So it's amazing.
Yeah.
Is it perfect in every way? No. It's still like a masterpiece, though, in my opinion.
Agreed. I 100% agree. There are certainly flaws with it, but man, it's like we kind of a lot of us scoffed at the $40 price tag when they announced it. We were like, is this the right price for this game? We were all trying to like bash Wander a little bit before we played it, and after having played it, I was like, yes, absolutely. The level of polish, it's just everything just works really well together, and it does create this really And the more you think about it, the more you're like, how the fuck did they like even come up with all this and make it all work together the way that it does? And then ultimately so many games I think roll credits too early where you're just like, wait, that was unfulfilling. Like here's this like whatever kind of ending, and I think that Wanderer sets you up and really takes you on the full journey, and by the time it's over, you go, that was fucking satisfying, and that is something I will not forget anytime soon.
Yeah, I also think it's a pretty accessible game. I think anybody can play this.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, like, I feel like it's tough because escape room games and puzzle games, like especially point and click style, it kind of blurs the line between both of those genres. And that's not for everybody. I wish there were people out there who didn't like puzzles. I wish there was a way for them to kind of go through and experience the adventure and like and get that same experience that we had, like without having to worry about the puzzles. But if you're just not a puzzle gamer, like yeah, it's going to be hard for you to get through this, and I don't think you're going to really enjoy it all that much. But if you even slightly tolerate puzzles, fucking go for it, man. Just fucking do it, because it's an adventure worth taking, big time. I agree with AJ. I think it's one of the greatest VR games ever made.
Yeah. Amazing. I agree with your review. I honestly give both Wanderer and Zenith a 9.5.
Nice.
And I think they could be considered 10 out of 10s, but because there's little tiny things here and there,
Wait, did they patch this in? Looper the Underground Gamecat with the €5 says you press the right move button to move backwards in Wanderer, and the top button's on the left controller to strafe. Yeah,
that was already there. What I would
walking backwards walking backwards was there.
Yeah, it was, because
what?
I was wondering when you were saying that. I was thinking that in my head. I was like, I do grab the door and walk backwards, and it's really easy. Yeah,
that's so crazy.
I will say though.
Okay.
That I do wish that the strafe and the turn buttons, I do wish those were swapped. Like, I would like the turn buttons to be on the bottom instead of the top, and then the strafe buttons to be on the bottom instead of the top.
Yeah.
It wasn't enough to deter me from wanting to play it or whatever, but I do wish it was swapped.
Dude,
right
I played
there
so much Wander in the past week that when I got into Zenith, I kept pressing the wrong buttons to turn. Like it had rewired my brain.
I know, right?
Yeah,
I know. I wish there was some consistency there, but that's just the product of the Move controllers.
All right. Well, I apologize for not knowing that. That is crazy that somehow I didn't know there was a walk backwards button. But I'm really glad to know there is one. 9.6. I'm going to go up a tenth of a point. All right, man. You know what time it is. It's time for PSVR 20 questions. I'm the host this time around, and that means I've picked out a PlayStation VR game. It's in my tiny little nugget up here, and it's up to you guys out there and AJ to come up with 20 yes or no questions to try to figure out what PlayStation VR game I'm thinking of. We put 6 minutes up on the clock from Timertopia. Guys, if you don't know Timertopia, this is not a paid endorsement, even though it kind of sounds like I'm about to talk about MeUndies. YouTube.com/ I don't know, Timertopia, I'm assuming. They got some cool clocks over there, and they're so nice to let us use this. AJ, are you ready?
I am ready. Let's do this, cats.
Go.
Does it have move support?
No, I don't think so. I'm checking.
Why is that hard to answer?
No, I'm sorry. You'll know why later. But no, it does not have move support.
Does it have aim support?
No, it does not have aim support.
Is it DualShock 4 only?
It is not DualShock 4 only.
Interesting. Does it use the HOTAS? Does it support the HOTAS?
It does support the HOTAS.
Oh, shit.
Look at you on a fast track to the answer here.
So it uses the HOTAS. Doesn't use... Okay, so only DualShock 4 and HOTAS. Is it sci-fi?
It's not sci-fi. That's 5.
It's not sci-fi. So it's not End Space. Or it's not Eve Valkyrie, because that's sci-fi as well. 5. I want to try. I want to see if I can get it within. Let's see. Could be Ace Combat. Could be Ace Combat, or Star Wars Squadrons. I thought we've already done Star Wars Squadrons though. What is our record? Is it 5 or 6 or 7?
I think 6, maybe 7. But yeah,
I'm
also
not
I
going
will
to try
say,
to beat your record.
I'm not trying to steer you in one direction or another, but I will say that we have definitely reused games, and we will continue to reuse games. Because I don't have a running list of which ones we've chosen. I'm not trying to steer you in one direction or another. That was not a hint. I'm just saying, FYI, from this point forward, just know that.
Is it based off the Ace Combat series?
Is it based off the Ace Combat series, or is it in the Ace Combat series?
Is it in the Ace Combat series?
Either way, the answer is no.
Okay, I'm glad I didn't go out and guess that one then. Is it based off of Star Wars?
It is not based off of Star Wars. Or
is it a Star Wars
series.
game?
No.
Shit. Okay. All right. Maybe not as easy as we thought, cats. It's not sci-fi. It is DualShock 4. It can't be Ultra Wings because that uses the thing. Did it come out within the last few months?
Yes.
Is it made by Strange Game Studios?
It is.
Is it RC Airplane Challenge?
It is RC Airplane Challenge made by Strange Game Studios. Definitely. I double checked just to make sure it didn't have move support, because Reggie, he likes to support every single controller on the face of the fucking planet. And so so I was like, is there a move? Is there a move support where of controlling RC a controller? And I had to look it up just to make sure, because I was like, I don't think there is. But hell yeah, man, RC Airplane Challenge, you got it in 10 questions. Nicely job.
Nicely job.
Yeah, I figure if we're gonna steal this from GameScoop, we might as well just steal all of their references.
Oh, is that what they say? Oh,
it is indeed. It is indeed. Guys, listen. There's a couple things going on right now. I just downloaded Dragonrider VR. The devs came through with the key, and so I think I'm going to try to stream that ASAP so that I can so that when I get into Zenith, I can just spend the whole night in Zenith and not have to worry about jumping out and streaming something later. So expect a Dragonrider stream very shortly.
Where's my key, devs? I want to write some Dargans.
So man, listen, AAA tier dev teams like the Dragonrider team, they don't know who PSVR Underground is.
That is true.
I'm kidding. We'll make sure you get a key. They were DMing me during the show. I was like,
I'll buy your game. It's Dargans.
Yeah, I mean, I was definitely going to buy it. But yeah, there's only a couple more hours before that game's available on the PlayStation Store, and at least in North America. So guys, so make sure you tune in for the Dragonrider VR stream. Don't forget to get into Zenith tonight, and hopefully we'll be able to get all of you guys into the Gamecat Dojo guild, because, well, I mean, but just find AJ. Go try to find AJ, because I'm not even in the guild yet. So,
join our Discord. Well, I'll communicate with you there. The Discord's not mandatory, but it is really helpful for communicating where we're going and when we're doing it.
No, 100%. If you go to our Discord, they'll click the link in the description. Join it. It's free to join. The only money involved there is if you're a $3 Patreon tier, you also get access to the voice chat that I'm in all day long every day. But that's it. Other than that, Discord's totally free. That's where we get all multiplayer games together. That's where Professor Lilith gets the weekly multiplayer meetups happening. That's where we figure out when we're getting together in Zenith. So real quick here, thank you to J Meow, thank you to Sci-Fi Gamecat Henry, who does all the timestamps for this, and thank you to everybody who donated during the show, all of our Patreon supporters, everybody that we're going to see tonight in Zenith, and of course everybody who helped AJ out with 20 questions, because let's be honest, there was no way he was going to do that himself. And of course everybody who sits back, watch the show, doesn't say a goddamn word, we know you're out there, because the numbers don't lie. AJ, may I cue the cat?
Cue the cat, Brian, because I want to say, have a wonderful weekend of Brax, bro. Endeavor 1 in the house tonight says you have to fight him on some mountain to enter the guild. I like it, Endeavor 1. Always has the right idea. Cerebral Frost says, add me to the dojo. Damn it. Awesome. I will. As soon as I get my profile fixed. There's something wrong with it. The keys are locked away right now. Grimrock, whoop, whoop. What up, homie? Good to see you. Bambino Ramos, still crashing. Yeah, I know. I've got a ticket into PS5 4K gameplay, Zenith Shard, Wave Rider, US East after this live stream ends. So there's going to be cats jumping in. Make sure you go join. Sunshine, happy fun times. So good to see you, man. Good night. Thank you to you as well. Good to see you around once again. My good friend, Dark Angel 3, you have a great weekend too. Robert the Game Cat, thank you. JC the inimitable, dual-wielding, ass-kicking Game Cat. Great show, guys. Zenith, hype. GC the 13, Diet Pepsi Cat. Where the hell are you? Huh? Why aren't you in Zenith with us? What's wrong? What's wrong? Huh? What's the matter with you? Huh? Ben
what's the matter with you?
Game Cat Army. Ben Dawson, thank you so much, man, for the kind words, and always here for you, dude. And yeah, just reach out if you ever need anything, homie. And thank you, man. It really is, just awesome to have you with us, man. It is amazing. LC 2552 beats the musical Game Cat. Mark Smith, thank you so much, man. Zombie 5150, my dude, thank you so much, man. Foot's feeling great because of the boot you recommended me. Appreciate it.
You got the boot?
I got a plastic boot on.
Nice.
Yes, and it helps a lot. I've been able to actually not be in pain for once. Serial Killer, the Lost and Wandering Game Cat. Keep wandering. And singing that song, baby. Johnny Rap Out the Stray Cat. Secrets of Good to See You. Dan Kiefer. Party tonight, says Neon Groove. Happy weekend, everyone. I'm heading to Zenith before my dinner party tonight. Oh, he's going to dinner. Okay, so we're not invited to that. That's okay.
Wait. Why are we not addressing why we're not invited to the fucking dinner party? I take personal offense.
I think we know why you aren't invited, Brian.
I think we all know why I'm not invited. Why aren't you invited? AJ. Whenever, what did you say? What's the matter you? Something like that. Like the immediate.
What's the matter with you?
What's the matter you? Like there's a lot of like real fucking Italians in my family, right? Like real Italians. Like I'm Italian, so I get to say this. Like annoying level of Italian in my family. But the not so annoying part of my family, my grandmother. Apparently when she was like learning English when she first moved to this country. My grandmother and grandfather didn't speak Italian, or didn't speak English at all when they moved here, and so they had to like kind of learn on the fly. So when my mom was little, like my grandmother would always get like the order of sentences wrong, like the sentence structure was like very Italian, and so she'd always be like, "Throw your grandmother down the stairs, her coat." that to me is like the funniest fucking sentence on the face of the planet. Throw your grandmother down the stairs, comma, her goat.
I love it.
All right, guys. Dragonrider VR stream in just a minute, and we'll see y'all soon in Zenith. Love you all.
See you there, man.
Dude, happy weekend. Thank God it's Friday.
Woohoo!